we go. Okay, evening all. We are here again to discuss Tefilah. One thing that we forgot to do, or I forgot to do last week when we were talking about the third paragraph of the Shema, is holding the tzitzit and kissing the tzitzit. Okay, now we all know that that's what we do, isn't it? We hold the tzitzit and then we kiss the tzitzit. Where you do it, but we do it, right? We all do it, right? We do it. Everyone agree?
No.
Anyone not do it? Women. Okay, apart from women. Any men not do it? What about you, Richard? You kiss your tzitzit during the Shema? Yes, he does. What about you, Warren? You kiss your tzitzit? Yes. Okay. What about you, Philip? No, you don't even say the Shema. Okay. Well, I'm going to surprise you now. And I'm going to tell you that there are a number of people who do not kiss their tzitzit in the Shema. And they are not, what's actually I would, they have very strong sources behind them for not doing it. Perhaps one of the most famous Jews of the the Achronim, one of the most famous Achronim, was of the very strong opinion that we don't kiss the tzitzit during the Shema. Anybody know which very famous opinion says we don't? The Vilna Gaon. Yeah, Vilna Gaon says you don't. Says you don't. Now, it's a very complicated procedure. Whole Sforim have been written about whether you kiss your tzitzit or not. The prevailing custom of most people is that we do kiss the tzitzit. Now, when do we kiss the tzitzit in davening, generally speaking? First one. No, before that, Johnny.
Before when you put your tzitzit on.
That's what Johnny said. One before that. Before
when you put your tzitzit on in the morning.
Yeah, when you put your talis on in the morning, you don't actually kiss the tzitzit necessarily. You do if you put your talit katan on, yeah, if you put your talit katan on and you are not going to wear a talit gadol, okay, now why might that be?
Because it's too hot.
Why might you not be going to wear your talit gadol for davening?
Might be Tisha B'Av.
Tisha B'Av is one example where we don't wear talit katan, talit gadol. That's true. What if you were going to daven on a plane and it was a bit too difficult to wrap yourself around, for example? Or in fact, a better answer would be if you don't have one, you've forgotten it. You're away. You go to your hotel. One sec, Warren. You go to your hotel. You get up in the morning. You see you've got your tefillin and you don't have a talis, but you do have your talit katan. So in that situation, you would say a bracha on your talit katan, where you would not normally say a bracha on your talit katan if you're going to put your talit gadol on. Okay. What were you going to say, Warren?
I probably got it wrong. I got it mixed up. I was going to say if you're single, you don't wear a talis.
Say that again.
If you're single, you don't wear a
If
talis.
you're single, okay, that's a good. If you're single and Ashkenaz, I think you need to add that, because the Sfardim, am I right, Yochanan, they wear a talit after their bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
Even before their bar mitzvah. But they wear a talit. We Ashkenazim do not wear a talit until we're married. Do anybody know why that is the case?
You're advertising that you're not married.
You're advertising that you're not married, and therefore you are available to
yes
to the shadchonim that are around. You know what? That's not a bad answer actually. May well be true. The reason that the Ashkenazim don't wear a talit until they are married is for the similar sort of reason that we said that we don't wear a talit on our head or we don't grow a beard. It's considered false piety. and you're not considered, as it were, grown up enough and mature enough to wrap yourself in the entire mitzvahs of the talis until you're married. It's an Ashkenazi minhag. Sephardim, and to be honest, the Sephardim minhag makes far more sense, because why should you because you're not married have the if you like, the negativity of not doing the mitzvah of lehitatef b'tzitzit, because we say a bracha lehitatef asher kiddushan mitzvah. So
it might be betrothed already.
So, oh, I see. That's the Sephardim do that, do they?
Yeah,
They used to.
They used to. Okay, that was tongue in cheek. Okay, maybe, I don't know. But that's one of the reasons that the Ashkenazim give, that it's almost like gaiva. It's too much pride. A bit like, as I said to you, back in the day, only the Rosh Hashiva, or the rabbi of the community, wore a talis on his head. Only they had a beard. And it's not so long ago. If you look at photographs of the, for example, in Manchester, the Hasidic shul Machziki Adas, which is like, the big frummy shul. If you see photographs of that from the 40s, nobody's got a beard. Only the only one's got a beard is the Rav.
I davened there in the 40s.
Yeah, and did most people not have beards, Johnny?
I can't remember with beards. No, I can't remember.
Most people did not have beards.
Schneebalg, I think.
Yeah, Rav Schneebalg would have had a beard because he was the Rav.
Yeah.
What made it change?
What made it change? What my Rabbi Goldberg, used to call rabbinic inflation. Right? Everybody's now, at one time to be called rabbi was something, Now you're not rabbi. You got to be Harav HaGaon, the genius, right? One time you had to be a Vilna Gaon to be called a Gaon. Now even that's not, now you're Harav HaGaon HaKadosh, right? It's rabbinic inflation.
I thought they copied the footballers. That's why.
Well, I don't think
it's a fashion today.
It is a fashion thing, actually. Yeah. It's a fashion thing, because it was seen. Back in the day, it was seen as a badge of honor to have a beard and to put your talus over your head. You were a pious person. Now everybody does it, and well, not here, but in some places everybody does it, and it's sort of it's what Rabbi Goldberg calls inflation. So there's something to be said, I think, for the leader of the leader of the community, the rabbi, the Rosh Hashiva, stand out. I think there's something to be said for that. That even more. Was that Lucy? I don't know who that was. That wasn't you, was it, Philip? Lost my train of thought now.
It's Liran's screen, I can see.
Oh, it's Liran's screen. Okay, Liran, can you put yourself on mute? Because your screen was growling at me. Thank you. Your screen was growling at me. Okay, so the other thing that I was about to say about this rabbinic inflation thing was that there's one bit of inflation which actually has been a very good thing. And that is, I was going to say it was fashion. That's where I came to. It is to a degree fashion. It's become fashionable to, from people to have a beard, etc. But I think there was some. Huh?
Makes you look older.
Yeah, that's true. But I think there's something to be said for the Rav and the Rosh Hashiva to stand out. But there are some types of this sort of rabbinic inflation type of thing, which has been a very good thing, and that's with women covering their hair. Because back in the day, I remember my Rebbetzin when I was a lad in Prestwich. The Rebbetzin didn't cover her hair, didn't wear a shekel. No, she did not. Right now, nowadays, many people do cover their hair, and it's become a sort of a fashion. Okay, so it's become a fashion. And you see it, sometimes you see it's a little bit incongruous because you see women with their hair covered and and not much else covered, which is a bit incongruous. But anyway,
rabbis,
I don't think it was. No, she didn't wear a tichel either. She didn't wear any head covering. Yeah, which was unusual, which was surprising. Nowadays, you wouldn't have, you wouldn't find the Rebbetzin without a head covering of some description. So it's interesting that things practice changes, Jewish practice changes, evolved. That's right.
You know, 4 or 5 people had Arab with him, and after the
That's right. Let me just say that for everybody else, because they won't have heard. Paul said that in his shiur when he was a youngster, there maybe have been 3 or 4 or 5 people with Arba minim, and nobody else had them, and then you'd pass it around. Yeah. I remember as a kid. on Sukkot. I one of my jobs was to, as a 8-10-year-old, was to take the Arba minim round to all the folk that didn't have. And there was somebody else who got the better job to take it upstairs to the women. But I never progressed to that job. Liran has his hand up. Yes, Liran. Liran, what would you like to say?
I apologize to disturb the shiur. I just wanted to, with your issues, to say, firstly, if you can tell me the schedule for the shiur, it would help very much. It's irrelevant. Secondly, I wanted to say that what I've learned from the research I've done, the concept of the beard is the Yud Gimel Tikkunei Dikna. It's the concept of the 13 attributes of mercy. So Mr. Jaffe, for example, as you remember him for many years, he was in charge of the charter planes to aeroplanes that went to New York every time to get a bracha from the Rebbe. So obviously, and he didn't have a beard, Mr. Jaffe, in those years. You remember? Yeah.
Zalman Jaffe never had a beard. You're right. It's all sorts of different fashions and one thing and another. But anyway, I don't know how we got onto that. I know how we got onto that. We got onto that about tzitzit. We were talking about tzitzit. So the Vilna Gaon and the Chazon Ish, by the way, and the Chazon Ish. Now, that's 2 pretty heavyweights there, Vilna Gaon and Chazon Ish. Even if you don't know who they are, you've certainly heard of them. They are, they are heavyweights. And the Vilna Gaon did not hold his tzitzit or kiss his tzitzit. The Chazon Ish held the tzitzit but did not kiss the tzitzit. Now, where did it all come from? It all came probably from the Sephardim.
Yeah,
probably from the Sephardim. The Sephardim are very demonstrative. The North African and European and Southern European, Spanish, Portuguese are much more demonstrative than the Kalta Ashkenazim from Western.
They kiss the mezuzah.
Exactly, they kiss.
Going in, going out.
They like kissing. It's fine. Don't get upset about it. You can do it as well. So it's a question of being demonstrative. The Western European way, the German way, was very the Kalta Ashkenazim. And of course, as we've said many times before, Minhag Anglia is based on Minhag Frankfurt, and add to that the English reticence as well, the stiff upper lip and all that stuff. It's not surprising that the Ashkenazim don't do as much kissing as the Sephardim. Sephardim are kissing all over the place, kissing the mezuzahs, kissing the Torah, kissing the paroches, kissing each other, kissing the 3 times on each cheek and all that. They love it. It's fine. It's no problem. It's very nice. They're demonstrating their love for everybody. It's great. So what did I just say? I said they're demonstrating their love. Now, when we kiss the tzitzit, that is all we're doing. It's not a halacha, because if it was a halacha, surely the Vilna Gaon would do it and the Chazon Ish would do it. What we're doing is it's a chibub. It's showing our love of the mitzvah, which is what we're doing when we kiss the mezuzah. And your
tefillin.
And the tefillin, same thing. When you kiss your tefillin, kushatum leot al yadecha and vayelatuv menecha. Now so it's all about showing and demonstrating your love. Probably. Well, that's very interesting because Paul has just pointed out that the art scroll has much more kissing in it than did the Singer's prayer book. Singer's prayer book, of course, originated in England with Reverend Singer, surprisingly. Singer, S-I-N-G-E-R. He was Reverend A. Singer. I don't know what the A stands for. Can you remember? They'll probably be in the. No, I doubt it was Adolf. Anyway, Reverend Singer was the first. It was the first person to put together an English siddur based on the English minhag. There was a couple of editions of that. We will have grown up with the blue one, all of us. And then in the 1990, Rabbi Sachs brought out the green one. Was there a red one before that? Yes, that's right, there was. And Rabbi Sachs rewrote the whole commentary and everything on it. And that's based on Minhag Anglia. And Paul is right that there was no great instructions to go kissing everything all over the place. Only the tzitzit. Now, where else do you kiss your tzitzit? We said when you put them on, at the end of Bracha Shema, how many tzitzits do you kiss there? The front two. Why? No idea. Okay, I have no idea.
Why do you kiss them there, Johnny? I've just looked in the siddur. I can't see why you should kiss them there.
Because of the idea that it's the introduction to the Psuke de Zimra. Okay, the prayers, the verses where we're praising HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we said last week, what do the tzitzit represent? They represent the 613 mitzvot. Yeah. So it's really saying that it's at the beginning of the, really, Baruch Shema is the beginning of davening. All before the stuff before Baruch Shema, the brachot and all those other things are not saying they're not part of davening, but they're not part of shacharit. Shacharit begins with Baruch Shema, okay, if you're Ashkenazi. And so if you're davening Nusach Sfard, it begins with Hodu. But Baruch Shema is the beginning. So you're kissing it there.
If you're kissing them there, then it's a kalvach. I don't know if it's kalvach is the right word. Then you should kiss them when you say tzitzit.
Yeah, well, that's right. You're definitely right. If you're going to kiss them at Baruch Shema, you're definitely going to kiss them in Shema. Excuse me. There's nobody that I know that holds you kiss them at Baruch Shema, but not in Shema. Yeah. It's all or nothing, I think. So you kiss them in Shema. Then when else? You kiss them at the end of Shema, right? When you say emet. Well, that's obvious why. Because again, it's the mitzvot you're saying are emet, truth. And we're going to talk about emet because that's meant to be the subject of this week's shiur. I've already wasted 20 minutes, not wasted, but we've gone 20 minutes already talking about the choreography. Shane Frank's not here because he likes that word. The choreography of davening. So you say it at emet, and then there's one other place you say it at. Before you release them. Where is that, Paul? Yeah, what exactly is it? That's interesting. Charlie has said two la'ads. Okay. Now, I thought I was the only person that did that. Let's have a look at what...
I do it as well.
What, two la'ads?
Yeah.
Have a look in your art scroll siddur and tell me where you are meant to kiss your tzitzit and release them, please. Say that again, Warren. Yes, la'ad ula olmei olamim. It says here in my art scroll, after the word la'ad, and before the words ula olmei olamim, it says at this point the tzitzit are kissed and released.
Yes.
And let me tell you what it says immediately after the first la'ad. It says kayamet, right? And it does not say anything about kissing the tzitzit. Now, it's really interesting that Charlie and Paul as well, you do that as well. You kiss it at the two la'ads. Okay. Sure, Charlie does it at 2. Paul does it at 2. And I do it at 2. And I thought, this is really interesting to me, because I thought that I was doing it at 2 for a specific reason. Because the correct place to do it is at the second one. La'ad ola olmei olamim. Okay? There is no source that I've seen that says you do it at la'ad. Where do you La'ad olamim olamim, not la'ad kayamet. No. Okay. So why do you do it there, Charlie? Would stop there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's another question. Should you stop there? Well, it's in the middle of the next thing says udavarav. Why were you stopping there? So that's the first question. Why do you do it? It says it in there to do it. The two la'ads. No, I'm talking about the first one. La'ad kayamet. Yeah, that's right. But I asked you when you kissed the tzitzit, and you said at the first la'ad and the second la'ad. When do you? Okay. Okay, right. Okay, so Charlie does it at the two la'ads. Paul's not really sure when he does it. And I do it at the two. Now, I thought, this is really interesting to me. I tell you why I do it at the two la'ads. Because my father used to do it at la'ad kayamet.
First one.
And he did not do it at the second la'ad. And as I became a little bit more knowledgeable as I got older, I thought that he was making a mistake. And I thought that he should have been doing it only at the second one, because that's what it says in the book, and that's what the minhag is, to kiss it at the second one. And I thought that he just got it plain wrong. And so I do it at both because I was doing it in memory of him, as it were. So that every time I do it at la'ad, I do it there for him, as it were. And then I do it properly, as it were, in the second one. But that's really interesting that you did it. You do it there at both of them, Charlie.
Rabbi Lieberman, I have I'm sorry to interrupt. I have an art scroll, and I also have a Lubavitch Siddur.
Okay, what's the Lubavitch
one?
say?
The Lubavitch one says both loads. Both loads have a simon to.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, if the Lubavitch scissors says that both la'ads, right? If the Lubavitch scissors says that both la'ads, then that means that the minhag to do it at both must be a Hasidish minhag, okay, as opposed to an Ashkenaz minhag, right? So that would make sense for my father as well. I'm really learning stuff now because my father's father, Daven Nusach Sfard, and came from Hasidic stock way back when. So that would make sense.
Romanian.
Yeah, the Romanishers, they Daven Nusach Sfard. So that makes sense. So that's very interesting. Thank you, Liran, for that. I need to do a bit more research on this la'ad, obviously. Yeah. Right. So which chazan was that? Okay, so Reverend Stiletsky must have been from Hasidic stock. So anyway, that's really interesting. So we need to do a bit more research on the la'ads. Okay. So that's the kissing tzitzis business, right? Let's move on to what I wanted to talk about tonight, which is the bracha after the Shema. Last week, we talked about the third paragraph of Shema, and we end up with the third paragraph of Shema ends with the words. No.
Hashem
The third paragraph ends with. The third paragraph ends with. Yes, Vayomer ends with. Ah, thank you. That's not what you said before. Okay, it ends with Ani Hashem Elokeichem. I am the Lord your God, and we add on the word emet. Okay, now the word emet, Hashem Elokeichem, emet. Emet belongs to the next paragraph, because the next paragraph begins. Well, how do we know that, first of all? How do we know that, Jonathan? How do you know that emet, that when you say emet at the end of your Shema, that it does not belong to that paragraph of the Shema? You are both correct. You are correct that it's a quote from the Torah in Parshat Shlach Lecha, and you are correct that it's on the next line, because he is correct that it's from the Torah. The Torah paragraph that it's quoting, Vayoma Adonai Moshe Lemor, Daber Bnei Yisrael v'Matalem Tulasem Tzitzit, etc., ends with the words Ani Adonai Eloheichem, not emet. Ani Adonai Eloheichem.
Repeat that again, and then you say
The Chazan repeats Hashem Elokeichem emet, and then we go on and say v'yatziv. Okay, so when we say the emet, when we say the emet at the end of Hashem Elokeichem, we are joining two paragraphs together. We're joining the end of the third paragraph of Shema to the beginning of the bracha after the Shema. This is right. This is called Birchat Geulah, the bracha of redemption. Why is it called the bracha of redemption?
Because we recognize the uniqueness of Hakadosh Baruch Hu.
Well, we do, but that's not why it's called the bracha of redemption. Why do you think it might be called the bracha of redemption? How does it end, that bracha? How does the bracha after Shema end?
Ga'al Yisrael.
Baruch atah Hashem, Ga'al Yisrael. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Blessed are you, Hashem, who
Redeemer.
has redeemed Israel. So, of course, that's why it's called the bracha. Okay, even before that, that's right. But the answer to the question is this bracha. When you end your bracha, the end of the bracha is what the summary is, what it tells you what it's all about. Okay, so when you have your bracha before the Shema, there are two brachot before the Shema, aren't they? One ends with Yotzer HaMe'orot, he who creates the lights. So what's all that one about? That's about the creation of the world. And then the second one we immediately before is Habocher B'Amo Yisrael, the Ahava, he who chooses Israel with love. So that's called Birchat Ahava. Okay, so the bracha is called, it ends with its essence. Okay, it's a summary. When you say Baruch Atah Hashem, such and such, that's the essence of the bracha that you've just said. So this bracha is going to end Baruch Atah Hashem Ga'al Yisrael. Blessed are you, Hashem, who has redeemed Israel. So it's called Birchat Geulah, the bracha of redemption. Now, there is a halacha that you are not allowed to make a hefsek, a pause, a break between this whole thing runs in together. There are two places where you don't make a break. One is between Elokeichem and Emet. So we say, Ani Adonai Elokeichem Emet. Even if you're davening on your own, you say, if you say it on your own, you would say, Ani Adonai Elokeichem Emet v'yatziv, and you just carry straight through. Emet. Okay, that's right. But the Emet, you are saying it with the Hashem Elokeichem. You don't make a break between them. You're not even allowed to make a break if you don't speak. So it would be wrong to say, Ani Hashem Elokeichem, Emet v'yatziv. That's not right. You say, Ani Hashem Elokeichem, Emet v'yatziv. Okay? And you say it all together. And the second place where you don't make a break is at the end of this bracha. And this brings us, we'll talk about it towards the end of the Shiur, to a very controversial argument about how you end the bracha of Ga'al Yisrael that Johnny has just said.
Yeah, because you finish it with lachas.
Okay, we're going to talk about whether you do or you don't, because there is a very strong halacha that says you do not make a break between Geulah and Tefilah. Geulah means redemption, meaning this bracha. Tefilah means prayer. When we say Tefilah, what do we mean? We mean the Amidah, correct. So you do not make a break between Ga'al Yisrael and the Amidah. Now, what would you normally do when somebody says Baruch Atah Hashem something or other? You would say Amen. You do not say Amen at the end of Ga'al Yisrael, because that would be a break between Geulah and Tefilah. Actually, that's a machloket to start with, but whether it is a break or it isn't. But most people say it's a break, and you don't say the Amen. The prevailing custom is you don't say Amen at that point. Now, the sorts of things that we get up to in order not to say Amen at that point is subject to a big machloket, and we'll come back to that maybe in about 15 minutes. So we'll just park that for the moment. But this bracha that we're talking about today is called the Birchat Geulah. It's the bracha of redemption. Now, Yochanan's already pointed out to us that redemption is mentioned fairly early on in this bracha. But before we get to any of the mentions of redemption, we're talking about something else which stands out from this bracha. Let's just read it in Hebrew, and I'm going to help you by reading it in a specific way. I'm going to help you answer the question, which is, what is it that stands out in this paragraph? Emet v'yatzid v'nachom v'kayam v'yashar v'ne'eman v'avug v'chaviv v'nechmad v'na'im v'nora v'adim v'tukana v'kubal v'tov v'yavada zayin v'neved Emet Elohei olam malkeinu su Yaakov magen yishenu l'dov zahu v'kayam v'shomag v'chis v'nachon u'machoto v'enemoto la'ad kayamet u'dovro chayim kaminem la'ad u'l'olumim alaveni v'adini alavishon Emet v'yamuna chok v'lo yava Emet she'atu Adonai Eloheinu b'lei avotenu malkeinu melech avotenu k'notenu su yishvosenu, etc. Okay, 5 times. There's another one down there. Emet to Adon le'amecha. In Nusach Ashkenaz, there are 5 emets, and in Nusach Sfard, there are 7 emets. Okay, in that paragraph. So if I was to say to you, what is this bracha about? You would say, truth. It's about emet. How many geulas are there? Let's have a quick look. Let's have how many geulas there are. Here's one. Malkeinu melech avotenu goaleinu goel avotenu. That's one. No, I think there's 3.
Oh, you said.
There's Ga'altanu Hashem Elokeinu Beit Avadim. That's 2. And I think that's it, isn't it? Until we get to Ga'al Yisrael. Yeah. And then, Go'aleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shema Geulah. That's 3. And Ga'al Yisrael. So there are 4. So there are 5 emets, or 7 if you're Nusach Sfard, and 4 geulas. And yet we call it the Birchat Geulah. And we call it the Birchat Geulah because it ends with Ga'al Yisrael. So there must be something that connects emet and Geulah, because these are the 2 things that shout out at you from this bracha, are truth and redemption. Now, how can we put that together? Who would like to have an attempt at putting together a reason as to why emet and Geulah, emet, with the statement that everything is true, leads us to redemption? Anyone? Any offers?
Just believing. If you believe.
All right, Jonathan says you gain redemption by telling the truth. Now that's a very true statement, because I know it sounds a bit Christian, but when you confess your sins, you get absolved from those sins. That's part of the whole process of Yom Kippur, isn't it? Is that we confess our sins, we tell the truth about what we've done. That's part of the redemptive process. Okay, the comparison stops there. We don't do Hail Marys and all that kind of stuff. But this idea of telling the truth and redemption, I think that's a good connection. Anyone else got a suggestion?
I think.
You have to believe in Hashem. You have to have the truth in Hashem, and only if you've got that can you acknowledge that you're going to be redeemed.
Okay, perfect. I'll come back to you in a sec, Johnny, because Karen has said something which I want to just go through, and then I'll come to yours. What Karen has said is many of the Mefarshim say this idea that the emet is connected to the 3rd paragraph of Shema. What have we said in our shiurim about the Shema? That the 1st paragraph is the acknowledgement that Hashem is one. Okay, we acknowledge that there is a Ribono Shel Olam, right? That God is one, and He is Hashem Elokeinu, is our God. The 2nd paragraph, V'haya im Shamoah, is the paragraph where we recognize that everything comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you behave, it's good. If you don't behave, it's not good. And the 3rd paragraph of Tzitzit is about wrapping ourselves around with the Torah, with the mitzvot, the or item oto. Remember, you'll see it and you'll remember, and your eyes and your heart won't stray. And then right at the end, what do we say? At the end of the third paragraph of the Shema, that was the prototype redemption. Okay, we were redeemed from a hopeless situation. We were slaves with no chance of redemption except in a miraculous way. We were so steeped in sin, in Egyptian culture, in slavery, in slave mentality, that it had to be a miraculous redemption. Yeah.
If you look at the end, there is talking of the word. And that's when we talk about that word, that means that is the end of where you talk about Kodesh Baruch. Then we have that, and then it goes on about other things, I guess.
Okay, let's come back to that in a mo. Let's come back to that in a mo, because what's interesting is I'm not sure that we have that in our Nusach Ashkenaz. We'll come back to that in a sec. Let me just finish on what we're saying here. So Karen said that, if I'm not mistaken, if you don't believe that the truth is what we've just said, which are those three paragraphs, which is what? God is one, he's our God, he runs the world, everything comes from him, and he redeemed us from Egypt. If you don't believe that, then what? You don't deserve to be redeemed. How can you possibly say, I bless you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who is the Redeemer, Ga'al Yisrael, in the past tense, by the way. Baruch atah Hashem, blessed is you, Hashem, Ga'al Yisrael, who redeemed us in the past. Now, when we say Shemona Esra, what do we say? Go'el Yisrael, who does and is and continues to redeem us. A different thing altogether. We're going to ask the question why in a minute. But we can't say, can we? Baruch atah Hashem Ga'al Yisrael. Blessed are you, Hashem, who has redeemed Israel, if we don't believe it.
Why did we say it in the first place? Why would we be davening in the first place?
Oh, Jonathan, you are so naive. Why do people daven in the first place? How many people do you think there are in the world who daven and don't have a clue what they're saying? Right? They daven because that's what you do, mate, isn't it? You turn up, you put your tefillin on, you say the words. Not you, I'm not talking about you, obviously, but there are people. That's very naive to think that even the majority of people know what they're saying.
The church was based on the people not knowing, understanding what the prayer was.
Because it was in Latin anyway.
So Ga'al Yisrael, by definition, if you're saying Ga'al Yisrael, you have to have Emet. So Karen's idea that the beginning of this Bracha of Geulah, of recognizing that God is the one who redeemed us, and then it leads us straight in, without a break, without even an Amen. What does it lead it into? The Amidah. What is the Amidah? It's our requests to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what the Amidah is. The Amidah is our requests to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're coming to the Amidah shortly. No, it is, because you can't just walk in and ask what you want. You've got to schmooze him up first, right? That's how it works. And then when you've asked for the stuff, you've got to schmooze him up at the end as well. That's how it works. But the middle bit, the meat of the Shemona Esra is our requests. Borei Chaleinu, Rafa'enu, Shema Kolenu. We'll go through it in due course. So it's a progression. The whole of davening is a progression for us to get to the Shemona Esra, to get to the Shema and to get to the Shemona Esra. That is the whole purpose of davening. We get up in the morning, we get ourselves in the right frame of mind by saying Moda Ani and the brachot. We've done all this, going and recognizing that God's kindness. We do the Psukei de Zimra, where we shmooze HaKadosh Baruch Hu up and tell him how wonderful he is. And then we come into the Shema, where we acclaim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we claim our faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then we come into the Shemona Esra, the Amidah, which is our requests for the day for their Kodesh Baruch Hu.
I would say, Johnny.
One thing, yeah, come back to you in a sec. Johnny, you wanted to say another connection between Emet and Geulah.
I was going to say similar to what Karen said in a way, but I believe that today we've davened more in the last month, people, or should have been davening more in the last month than davened forever, most people. But if we don't believe that God is true, that there is a true God, or we have to believe there is a true God, and then we will get Geulah from the troubles that we're going through at the moment. That's what I'd like to say.
You're absolutely right, because if you don't believe in God, if you as a Jew don't believe that there is a God,
Yeah,
then we're in big trouble, because according to all natural arguments and calculations, we ain't got a chance, right? We ain't got a chance, and we have never had a chance. And the only reason that we've survived is because of a Kodesh Baruch Hu,
yeah.
right? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You know, how many times have we heard it? Mark Twain said it, and loads of people said, according to nature, the Jewish people should have disappeared years and years and years ago, centuries ago. Should never have survived any of the stuff. We should have just assimilated in.
You know the story about West Point in America?
No.
You know they study all the battles.
Yeah.
They don't study any battles whatsoever.
They don't study what battle?
They won't do any games, i.e., with soldiers, with
reenactment
of battle. That's all they do all day, so they can get ideas. But they won't do it about Israel because they say it's not possible. What's happened?
It's not natural.
It's not natural.
Yes, Richard.
I was going to say, well, we declare
Johnny.
in the bracha.
1 second, Richard speaking. 1 second, Richard. Yes, go on ahead, Richard.
I was just going to say, we declare in the bracha, the MS, that Hashem is our Redeemer and was the Redeemer of our ancestors.
That's exactly what we're saying. We are saying correct. We are saying
that's the linkage
that fact is the truth, and we are declaring it's the truth as the introduction to the Amidah, and that's the important point. Yes, Johnny.
Can I just say that, I know you don't believe in coincidences, but many times in our Shiurim, there's something connected with a Pasha or whatever. On Sunday, you went into Yirmiyahu.
Yeah.
And in Yirmiyahu chapter 10, there is a pasuk, the 10th pasuk in chapter 10. And it starts off, Ad Hashem Elokechem Emet.
Okay, very good.
And according to, no, it's not me. According to Oxford, my city here, that's where the ancient origin of the word emet coming into the Shema comes from.
Okay, that's interesting. Didn't know that. I'll just repeat that for those that didn't hear it. In Yirmiyahu chapter 10, verse 10, there is the expression Adonai Elohechem Emet, and so that could be the origin of putting the emet together with our Adonai Elohechem here at the end of Parshat Shlach Lecha. Okay, so now we have got to. We're going to say. So we say, let's have a look at the prayer itself now of this Geulah. So we declare that Hashem Elohechem, Hashem our God, or your God as it is here, because it's Moshe talking to the Bnei Israel, is what? Is emet. It's true. We believe he is true. And what else is he? V'yatziv. Yatziv means steady, stable, certain. Nachon, you know what that means? Correct. Kayam, established, enduring, it lasting forever. Yashar, straight. Ne'eman, faithful, trustworthy. Ahuv, loved. Chaviv,
Sweet.
another word for loved, cherished. Nechmad, pleasant, nice. Na'im, also pleasant and nice. Norah, awesome. Va'adir, what does adir mean?
Regular.
Powerful. Where do you have that? Where do you see?
We have 35.
Adir who? Very good. Karen says Adir who. Are you going to sing it for us, Karen? No. Okay. Adir who?
I just called it Adir. F35.
Adir who from the Haggadah. Where else do we have Adir? We sing it with Adir Adirenu, yes. Mi Adir. Okay, there's one we sing it on Friday night with gusto here.
Adon Olam. Or is it in there, dear?
No, we say it in
Yigdal then.
we say it. The one I'm thinking of is
Onto the upper.
just before Lecha Dodi. What do we say? We say, hang on a minute. Here we go. No, after Lecha Dodi. What am I talking about? After Lecha Dodi, we say Hashem Malach Geyot Lavesh Adonai Oz Hitazar Afti Kon Tev Baltimot Nachon Kisecha Me'az Me'olamata Nasu Ne'arot Adonai Nasu Ne'arot Kolam Yisu Ne'arot Dochyam Mikolot Mayim Rabim Adirim. Yeah, Mikolot Mayim Rabim Adirim Mishpereyam Adir B'Marom Adonai. Mighty. Adir means mighty. Okay. Adir Adirenu, yes, we say that in a Musaf of Yom Noraim, that's right. So Adir means mighty.
Somebody said before at the chuppah, you said Mi Adir.
Mi Adir, yes, I think.
Barbara said it, I think.
I think Paul said it as well at the same time. They must have been to the same chuppah. Matukan.
Sweet.
No, not Matuka. Matukan. Matukan from the word letaken. Means to correct, means to be correct. Umakubal, and accepted. V'tov, and good, v'yafeh, and beautiful. So we have just described all those adjectives. We have just described HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, we tend to just sort of, unfortunately, just garble it off because we haven't got time to say everything slowly as we ought to. But when you stop and think about that, at the moment, how many have we just said? How many of those are there? Have a guess.
15.
15. Says about 12.
15.
15. How did you know that, Johnny?
I counted them. Yes.
Yeah, there are 15. There are 15. Why are there 15? What's so special about the number 15? Anyone? 15?
No, no.
Yud Hey.
Yeah, but Karen said it's a Yud and a Hey. God's name, Yud Hey. Right? Also, 15 steps. The 15 steps in the Bet HaMikdash. The 15 songs of ascent. 15 is a number which is an ascending number. It's a number. It's a number that we use when we're going from top to bottom. So steps into the Bet HaMikdash, there were 15 of them. There were 15 Shir Hamalats, which you said, which the people used to say as they were being Ola Regel, as they were coming from wherever they were coming from to Yerushalayim, and it was the build-up. So all the 15 is a build-up number, if you like. So there are 15, and of course it's Yud Hey, as Karen said. So it's 15 attributes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as opposed to the 13 attributes, which are something different. And then we go into the Emet. Okay, we said there are 5 in the Ashkenaz, 7 in the Sfard. Emet, Elokei Olam, Malkeinu, Tzur, Yaakov, Magen Yishenu. Emet, it is true. Elohei Olam, Malkeinu, Tzur, Yaakov. It is true that the God of the universe, Elohei Olam, Malkeinu, is our king. Tzur, Yaakov. What's Tzur?
Rock.
Is a rock. The rock of Yaakov. What do you mean when you say somebody is your rock? Stability.
And your rock.
Dependable, that's the word.
And your rock.
You're my rock, Philip. Yeah, God help me.
Foundation.
And what does a rock do? Well, when somebody is your rock, what does he do? What you'll do for me? You'll protect me. And what's the next word? Magen.
The shield.
Again, he's the shield. And Yishenu, he is our savior. So we have just said here, this declaration, does this sound familiar to you? This whole thing, this is a repetition of the Shema. In Shema, we've said, you are our God, Hashem Elokeinu, you are our God, and you are Hashem Echad. You are the one God. Here, we're just repeating it in a different way. It's if you like, it's another summary of the Shema, which is why it's added in the end. Lador vador, forever, for generation and generation. Hu kayam, he endures, he exists, he goes on. Ushamo kayam, and his name goes on. V'chiso nachon. Kiso,
His feet.
his throne.
Oh,
His
yeah,
throne.
true, yeah.
Nachon means
It's true.
it's true, and nachon means actually what's the root of the word nachon?
Fun is ready.
Okay.
Ready?
Okay. In order.
Cain, you're right. Cain. Yes, correct. Nachon. Why does nachon mean correct? Because another way of saying yes, isn't it? If I say your name is Charlie, nachon, nachon means yes. So if your chair, your throne is,
It's a question. Your name's Charlie, Nachon? That's a question.
yeah, but the answer is also nachon. Nachon. Umalchuto, and his kingship, ve'emunato, and his faith, his faithfulness. Now that doesn't mean our faith in him. That means his faith in us. La'ad, forever, kayamet. Again, that word kayam, endures. So again, we have said that this is all very particular. Now, when I say particular, I mean this is not talking about the whole world. This is us. This is very personal, right? We've said this emet, it's true, that Elohei Olam, the world, the God of the world, Malkeinu, is our God. Sur Yaakov, he is the rock of Jacob. We're not interested in anybody else right now in this prayer. This is very personal to the Jews. Magain Yishei Nu, he is the savior of us. Okay. Umalchoto ve'emunato, his faithfulness, in other words, his faithfulness towards us lasts forever. Udvarav chayim v'kayamim, his words chayim are living, v'kayamim and enduring, v'ne'emanim and faithful, v'nechmadim and desirable.
Tony, you translate ve'emunato as his faithfulness, but it could be his truth.
No, that would be not emunah. That would be his truth would be amito, or something like that. Yeah. His word then goes on, la'ad, forever, ol me olamim. What does that mean? Ol me olamim.
And in all the worlds.
Meaning forever. Another word, forever. La'ad ol me olamim means forever and ever and ever. Right? Forever and ever and ever and ever.
Eternity.
For eternity, yeah, thank you. To all eternity. Alavotenu, for us, for our fathers. This is what Yochanan was talking about before. Va'aleinu, and for us. Right? So Alavotenu, that's we're talking about God's being faithful to our ancestors. That's in the past. Va'aleinu, that's in the present, that's us. Al banenu, on our children. Va'al dorotenu, and our descendants. So we're making a declaration that hu haya, hu hoveh, v'hu yiyeh. Where have you heard that before? Adon Olam. What does Adon Olam mean? What do those words Adon Olam mean? Master of the universe. The master of the universe. Hu haya, he was. Hu hoveh, he is. Hu yiyeh, he will be. So what we're saying here in this bracha after Shema, is utterly fundamental to Jewish belief. We're stating very clearly that we believe that God is the Adon Olam, the master of the world. He is our particular God. He is Malkeinu, Melech Avotenu. Okay, he is the father of us. He is for us, Alavotenu, for our fathers in the past. Aleinu, for us. Banenu v'dorotenu, for all our future generations. We are making this declaration. That's why, by the way, Adon Olam is such an important prayer, which is why I've made such a big fuss about it. Because until I was the gabbai here, actually no, until Rabbi Doe left, and I was able to exert a little bit more influence. They were out the door before we'd got through the first paragraph of Adon Olam. It never got finished. The only one that was sat there was Michael Leaf. Right, by the end of it. And now they all sit down and do it because it's a really, really important prayer, Adon Olam. And this is really the reflection of Adon Olam at this point. So, I'll call Dorat Zera Yisrael Avadecha. That's even further into the future, forever and ever and ever for Israel Yosef. Now, we're stressing it again. What's the next paragraph begin with? Al Harishonim. the first generations, the earlier generations, v'al ha'acharonim, and the later generations. Davar tov kayam leolam va'ed. The matter is good and enduring forever and ever. And we're just repeating ourselves, I know, but this is how poetry is, and this is stress, it's emphasis. However many different ways you can possibly say it, we are saying we believe in God. At this particular point, it is a declaration of our belief in the God of the world and the particular God for us, and that they are all one. Malkeinu melech avotenu, goalenu goel avotenu, which is the one that Yochanan was referring to, our Redeemer. Who did he redeem? Avotenu, our fathers, which is what we've just said at the end of the Shema, did we not? That was the Geulah that we're talking about when he says goel avotenu. Yotzreinu tzur yeshuatenu, Yotzreinu, our creator, tzur yeshuatenu, that same word again, the rock of our salvation. Podenu, lifdot. What's lifdot? What's pidyon shvuyim?
It's to
Redemption.
Redeem. Pidyon shvuyim is the redemption of captives, please God. Podenu, our liberator. Umatzilenu, our savior, the same word as Hatzalah. Hatzalah. Miolam shmecha, there's always been your name. Ein Elohim zulatecha. What does that mean? Ein Elohim, there is no God. Zulatecha. Zulatecha means apart from you. Apart from you. Zulatecha means apart from you.
Zulat. That's the word.
Ein Elohim zulatecha. There is no God other than you. You can see how fundamental this prayer is. It's really okay. And then the next part is
just say that, Johnny. Just out of interest, my Siddur says that Ein Lonu Od Elohim. Nusach Sefard. The actual word Lonu Od.
Ein Lonu. We do not have.
Yeah.
Od Elohim, any other gods,
yeah.
Zulatecha, apart from you. Now, the Nusach Sfard, that's interesting that you should point that out. The Nusach Sfard makes the end of that a particular thing for the Jews, right? Ein lanu od Elohim zulatecha. The Nusach Ashkenaz is a little bit more general, and it says Ein Elohim zulatecha. There is no God other than you. What Johnny's quoted from the Nusach Sfard, which is what we say here, is that we don't have any other God. Yeah. Whereas what the Ashkenazim are saying is there is no other God. There's a slight nuance on there. Okay, it is a significant difference. I don't know whether there is how much significance there is to it ultimately, but yeah, it's an interesting observation. It's an interesting observation.
You say it's about yourself, it's not objective. You say there is not.
You could argue, couldn't you, if you say the Nusach Sfard version, we do not have any other God but you. Is that implying, or am I being am I being a little bit what's the word, provocative here to say Ein lanu od Elohim zulatecha, we do not have any other gods but you, but there are other gods for other people. Yeah. We don't have any other gods. So you could argue that they're saying, well, they have other gods, but they're... Yeah. And what the Ashkenazim are saying is, there just aren't any other gods. Yeah. You're right, it is a difference, but I think ultimately it comes down to the same...
It says in the Shema, Johnny, it says in the Shema that God himself said, don't bow down to any other gods but me. Where is it?
Yeah. That's part of the Ten Commandments.
You're not allowed
to have any other gods. That's right. So I suppose by saying Ein lanu od Elohim zulatecha, we are confirming that we are keeping that particular mitzvah. All right. Okay, it's now 9 o'clock, so I think we'll stop there. We never got to Ga'al Yisrael. We'll get it there next week, hopefully. We'll stop here. Next week we'll do Ezrat Avotenu, which is the next part. And just to give you an idea, that it's the same theme, isn't it? Ezrat, what does Ezra mean?
Help.
Help. Ezrat Avotenu. Okay, Ata, you have been the help of Avotenu, of our fathers. Me'olam, forever. You've always been the one that's helped us out. And then we're going to go on. So this whole prayer of after Shema is part of the package. The section of davening from Baruch Hu to the end of Shemona Esra is really an all one package. It's broken up into slight sub packages, which is your brachot before Shema, which is the lead into Shema, the declaration of Shema, the connection of the declaration of Shema to the Shemona Esra, which is what we're doing at the moment, then the Shemona Esra without any breaks. You don't say your Amen after Ga'al Yisrael into the Shemona Esra. So it's this. So if you had to break it up into big bits of davening, you've got before Sukkot Zimra, that's called Birchat HaShachar, the morning prayers, so the brachot and all that stuff. That's section 1. Section 2 is the Sukkot Zimra, the songs of praise before you get into the meat. Okay, that's the introduction. That's the schmoozing up beforehand. Then you've got the main bit, which is from Baruch Hu to the end of Shemona Esra. That is the meat of davening. And after Shemona Esra, you've got the extra bits at the end, which is the sort of saying goodbye. And then you finish off with Aleinu L'Shabech, which we'll get to eventually, which is an incredibly important prayer with massive history behind it. So any questions, first of all, in the room? Any questions in the room on the first half of Ga'al Yisrael?
When were all these you know?
When were they? When were they written? Okay. Very early on. The earliest Siddur that we have is the Nusach Ashkenaz from about the 7th century CE. So very early prayers. Yeah.
Johnny, where does the custom of waiting for the rabbi to say, the Rav, to say the last part of the Shema come
okay,
from?
So generally speaking, the rabbi will say Shema with very great kavanah.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, more kavanah than the rest of us, right? And so it takes longer. What we don't want to do is to have him out of sync with us when we come to Shemona Esra. So we wait for him at Emet, so he can catch up, and then we can do this bracha that we've just done together, and then say Shemona Esra together, because we don't want him to be playing catch up during Shemona Esra, where he falls behind again because of the same reason, because he's saying that with more kavanah. Yes, Warren.
That's a contradiction, because you said after we say Hashem Elohim Emes, we should go straight on to Vayatziv. So should we not actually wait if we're ahead of the Chazan?
No, we say Hashem Elohim Emet, and then the Chazan waits, and we say Vayatziv. We don't say Emet again. When the Chazan says Hashem Elohim Emet, we carry on Vayatziv.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you intimated that we shouldn't actually have a break between us saying it.
No, we don't have a break between Elokechem and Emet.
Yeah.
You can have a break between Emet and Vayatziv.
All right. Okay, that's
not
right.
between Elokechem and Emet. So
All
it's
right,
Ani
okay.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions? Anyone else?
I just wanted to ask you, when is the next Shiur? How do I know when there's a Shiur, Rabbi Lieberman?
I'll send you a link. I'll send you a flyer with them all on.
Okay, and also last thing, there's no such thing, with my humble words, there's no such thing as a Kal Yid. Every Jew is warm, and I've learned that whether a Jew follows the minhag of the Vilna Gaon of not kissing the tzitzis, whether it's a Hasidim kissing the tzitzis, what's important is how we are inside. Whether we have a beard, don't have a beard, it's how we are inside in our actions.
I agree with you. I was being ironic, Liran. I was being ironic.
Thank you.
Laila Tov, everyone.
Rabbi Lieberman.
Well, that's
Salat